Good morning, it's Dr. Kimarie. I wanted to talk today about authenticity and passion versus perfectionism, needing to be perfect. One of the reasons I do my videos this way is because I embrace the idea, or I'm actually giving myself a spiritual workout by not practicing what I'm going to say before I say it. And I'm just allowing spirit to come through me. Whatever is needing to come out today, I'm trusting that it comes out in the perfect way. So I do a meditation and I get into alignment with my highest self and with just in the energy of love and of serving and of my passion of helping people and in the work that I do. But none of it is practiced, so therefore it is not perfect. I trip over my words sometimes. I say things in a way that is, again, you can hear that I'm searching for words like I am right now. But I think that there's something really powerful about that too, because it allows me to be authentic. It allows me to be vulnerable. It allows me to show all parts of myself, not just be this polished speaker who can get up and do this amazing speech, which there is absolutely nothing wrong with. It's funny because I had been doing Toastmasters in, I think it was like 2017 or 18, and I was practicing to speak because I've always had this introverted, shy side to myself. So even though I love to sing and I love to speak, it has taken a lot for me to allow myself to do that. But I was going to Toastmasters and I was feeling really good. You have to write and practice speeches between 4 and 7 minutes, which is not easy because you have to get a clear and concise point in a short period of time. So I was doing that. So I felt confident. I felt good about myself. And I applied to speak at the 60th anniversary of the school that I attended to get my doctorate at the University of Metaphysics, and it was in Sedona, Arizona. And they accepted me, and I had given a couple of topics, and one of them was how perfectionism can lead to self-sabotage. And that's the one that they chose. And when they chose it, I tried to talk them out of it because I thought, oh my goodness, I'm afraid I'm not going to do a good job. All of a sudden, the town idiots came in and they started to tell me, you're going to be speaking in front of people who are just getting their doctorate degree. They're so well versed in all of these principles, and you're going to go and teach them. And it started to really get in there, and I wasn't able to write a speech. I was having so much trouble. I was in my own way. I was in self-sabotage. And I just kept saying, okay, if I'm going to be brought to it, I'm going to be brought through it. I'm going to get the right words. But honestly, I never got the right words before I went to Arizona to write a polished speech and practice it. And that was my goal, that I was going to have this perfect speech. I was going to get up there and give this amazing, perfect speech that I practiced for so long. And I just couldn't do it. And I just kept saying, okay, God, I trust. I'm not going to back out, even though every part of me, that little girl inside of me, it was like you could see her hanging on my leg, terrified. And even the day that I had to give the speech, and I'd gotten slides from other speeches I had done, and I had them in a slideshow, but they weren't even organized because I wasn't clear of how it was going to come out of me. I know that sounds crazy, and it was. It truly was, but I just kept trusting and taking walk in faith, and that is a lot of what I teach. As I'm listening, before I had to get up there, I hear a bunch of speeches. And they are really polished. Many of them were reading their speech. And they were perfectly said. I'll say that. And I'm not knocking anyone down, but they were perfectly said. But because sometimes when we read, this is what I notice in Toastmasters, and I firmly believe for myself, is that when you're reading, it's very difficult to really come from the heart and put that passion in as much as when you can just tap into your heart and soul. That's been my experience. And the people that I've seen in Toastmasters that I've said, let's practice taking that away and try it. Even if you know your story, even if you don't say it with the perfect words, you know your story. So just try it that way, and you can just see the difference. You can see the person come to life. Anyway, I get on the stage and I start to speak, and I just speak to the fact that how, I'm a little intimidated being in front of these new doctoral students, and that, I'm asked to speak about self-sabotage, and I've just spent the last month in self-sabotage, and they started to laugh. And then I started to speak to what goes on in our body, and how there is that little child inside that does want to grasp onto your leg at times and say, I don't want to do this, I'm scared. And just walked them through the process of what I do and how to move from perfectionism into really, being authentic, allowing the true you to come out, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, because that's what makes us human. That's what makes other people say, oh, well, they're not on this big pedestal, and it's not unachievable or unattainable to get, right? It's touching something deeper. It's touching the part of a person that needs to hear this message today, that needs to know that they're perfect just the way they are. So I made it through the speech. I got off the stage, and I had people running up to me saying that that was the best speech that they had heard. And I couldn't believe it, because like I said, I really did trip over my words, and the slides, I just kind of flicked through the slides because they didn't even really, I spoke to them a little bit, but it wasn't a polished speech. It wasn't horrible, but it definitely wasn't checking all the boxes if you were saying, okay, you're this perfect speaker. But it spoke to something bigger. It spoke to the part of them that let them know it was going to be okay. That the fear inside of them of, oh my goodness, I have a doctorate degree, now I have to go act like that, and people are going to expect that from me. So it was the perfect speech for them that day. And that taught me something very powerful. And so we don't have to struggle with perfectionism. To me, perfectionism is just telling that little boy or girl inside that you will never be enough. Like anything you do, the way you do it is not enough. And it is enough. It is enough. I'm not saying don't strive. I'm taking 4 college courses right now because I want to continue to learn and grow. I am a professional learner. I love to learn. I love to grow. I love to learn from conversations, from people. I'm not saying don't continue to learn. I'm saying accept yourself where you are and continue to praise that. If we praise a child, they're going to flourish. If we tell them everything that they're doing wrong all the time, then they're going to start shrinking. And I think many of us had that. I know I had a lot more criticisms, not on purpose, but people tend to point out what's wrong and forget that they didn't tell you what was right. And I think for every time that we criticize something that someone's done wrong, we need to tell them 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 things that they do right. Right? Because they already have that inner critic. They already have that inside of them. They don't need you to illuminate it. Now, of course, we can tell people things in love, but make sure that we're really tender about it. Make sure we're really sensitive with how we say it. It's really important, We're all just little kids in these big grown-up bodies trying to get by with the best that we can with what we have. So, my message today is about being authentic, being your authentic self with passion, and kick perfectionism to the curb. I hope you have an amazing day. I love you lots. Bye-bye.